Now, let's get into Lightroom and just take a look at how the screen is laid out so you'll be more comfortable with what's there. So here's Lightroom. At the very top are a list of modules. It's just the text you see in the upper right. These are the various areas of Lightroom you can switch between. When you click on each one of these modules, what you see on the screen below will change. The Library module is where you view your images and you organize them. So for instance, on the left side of my screen, I see a list of folders. And so if I know where my images are stored, I could click on a folder there to view what's on my drive. Or below, we have something called Collections, which is where I could organize my images to put all the waterfalls together, or slot canyons, or whatever it happens to be. But the Library is where you view and you organize your pictures. Then we can go to the Develop module. That's where we actually adjust our images. There, on the right side of my screen, I'm going to find a bunch of sliders where I can move them around to brighten, darken, or do other things to my images. When I want to switch to a different picture, I can always go back to the Library module, pick a different image, and then head back to Develop to actually make changes to it. And that's where most of the action happens. Now the other modules that are here, let's take a brief look at them. The Map module can show you where your images were taken on a map, where if you have that information attached to your images, you can look at which images were taken in Europe versus the US. The other modules that are there are for presenting your images or sharing them with other people. But most of the action happens in the Library module where you organize things and in the Develop module where you change them. Now let's look more generically at our screen. You'll find that each edge of your screen features a little triangle. That triangle will allow you to collapse or expand the panel that is stuck to that edge of your screen. So there's one panel on each edge, and I can go to the little triangle on the edge of my screen to collapse and expand each one. The one at the bottom is already collapsed. You might think this little part here is a panel. That's too small. If I clicked on the triangle, here's the real panel that's down there. So any panel you don't need, you collapse down. In most of the time, most of the action happens on the right side of your screen. So it's only the panel that's on the right side you usually need to have open for the majority of your time when you're working in Lightroom. The one exception to that is the Library module. Because in the Library module, both sides of your screen are kind of equally as important. So you'll probably have both panels open. Now when you're in the Library, you might notice this area on the right called Quick Develop. And you might assume that that's where you adjust your pictures, but that's not the primary place you do it. That's under the Develop module where we were before. So for now, you could just collapse down that Quick Develop area. Then, when you look at those side panels, you'll find that they're divided up into different sections. Each section has a name and has a little triangle next to it. We have that both here in the Develop module, and if we head back to the Library module, you'll find that each one of those side panels is divided up into different sections. Well, you can click on the title of any one of those sections or the triangle that appears next to the title to collapse or expand each section. So if there's a section that you don't know how to use yet, you might as well collapse it down so it doesn't clutter up your screen. When you're in the Library module, you can just have your folder list open because this is where you navigate your hard drive. When you're on the right side of the Library module, if you don't know how to use this stuff yet, just collapse it down and only expand the stuff you know how to use. You can even collapse the entire side panels and therefore really keep the screen much cleaner. Also, you're going to find a bunch of little icons that appear on some images. For now, you can ignore those icons until you learn what they do. There's a bunch of features in Lightroom that are totally optional. After you're done working on an image, if you want to share it with someone else, then you'll go to the File menu and you'll find various choices here for exporting the image. That's where it would create a copy that you could supply to somebody else. So now you have a sense for how the screen is laid out, and I hope that makes you more comfortable and confident as you learn the other features that are found in Lightroom. A lot of people use their brain to keep track of where their images are, to remember what they've shot, where they're stored, and really what they have. That's not the most effective way of working. If you use Lightroom, it won't matter how cluttered your hard drive is or how bad your memory is, you can still find just about any image. Just spend a little bit of time organizing them. Let's take a look. And the first place we'll go to do that is this area called Collections. I have a few that I've made here already, and let me show you how that's done and how they work. A collection is like a playlist in a music program, where if you drag an image on top of a collection, it simply remembers where that image was located so it can show it to you later. It doesn't actually move it on your hard drive. And so if I go over here to the collection area, just to the right of the word collections is a plus sign, and if I click on that, I can choose Create Collection. And I'm going to create a collection called Iceland. And now in that list, I should find a new collection with the name of Iceland. I could then take all of these images, maybe click on the first one, hold Shift and click on the last, and drag them on top of the collection called Iceland. And when I do, there's a number to the right side that tells me exactly how many images I've dragged there. And if I ever want to see them again, I don't have to remember where they're located on my hard drive. I could completely collapse down that area called Folders and just concentrate on this area called Collections. I click on the collection and I see all those images that I've dragged into the collection. And I have this image, which I think is a little odd and doesn't remind me of Iceland. So I'm going to click on it and I'm just going to hit the delete key. When I do, the image goes away. It didn't delete it off my hard drive. It just removed it from this collection, just like removing a song from a playlist in your music software. Doesn't delete it off your hard drive, it just says don't play it anymore. Same thing is true here. But what's really nice about collections is you can have the same photograph in more than one collection. So if you look here, I have a collection called Sunsets, another one called Waterfalls, and so on. So I could take this picture, taken in Iceland, and drag it on top of sunsets. And I can look through the other images that were shot in Iceland and do the same for any others that were shot near sunset. I see a lot that were shot near lakes and rivers, so I could select those, any of these where I see water, which is actually the majority of them, and drag those on top of the one called Lakes and Rivers. I could create a collection called Churches and put the churches in there. Whatever it is that would help me find these images again, however I'd like to organize them. Now, you can further organize your collections by going to the right of the word Collections again and choose Create Collection Set. If you do that, then you're going to create what looks like a little shoebox in your collection list. And a collection set is used to organize your collections. You can grab one collection and drag it on top of a collection set, and then you're able to collapse and expand that collection set to view its contents or to hide the contents. You can't actually drag a photo on top of a collection set, though. The only thing it can contain is another collection. So this is one way of organizing your images. And even if you have those collection sets collapsed down, so you only have these general categories, for instance, I've come in here and made one called Family, where I can keep track of pictures of my mom, my dad, my wife, my brother, that type of thing. Or maybe the holidays. I want all the Christmases that have happened over the years. I'm going to put images in these collections. Well, even if these are all collapsed down, right above that you can search your collections. So I can say I want to find all the Christmas. And I can very quickly get to that collection without having to remember where it's stored in my collection list. So that's one method of organizing your images. Let's look at others. Let's say here I have, again, these images of Iceland, and some of them I want to print out and others I don't. And I just want to mark the ones that I want to print out and mark the others that I might even think about deleting. Well, if I click on an image, at the bottom of my screen is this horizontal bar. When I'm in the library, that's a bar you could show or hide. If you find it's not there when you get into Lightroom, go to the View menu. It's called the toolbar. You can hide the toolbar, and you can also go back up here and show it. Well, in there, I'm going to find these little flag icons. This one here will flag it as a pick, where that might be an image I want to print. And let's say this image is one I might want to delete. Well, I can flag it as a reject. That's the black flag with an X. And I could do that to various images, flagging them or rejecting them. And then later on, if I want to sort my images based on that, I can go to the View menu. Over here's a choice called Sort, and I can say, hey, put these in order based on their pick status. If I choose pick, now the ones that I flagged as a pick are at the beginning, and the ones I flagged as a reject are at the end. Most people can organize their images using just that, collections and these flags. Some people, though, decide they need more than that. And if that's the case for you, here's another choice you have. You can click on an image, and again at the bottom of your screen, you could apply either a star rating or a color. So maybe I decide this is my favorite image, so I'll make it 5 stars. And this one's not quite as good, so maybe it's 3 stars. And this one is not very good at all, so maybe it's 1 star. Then again, you can go to your View menu, choose Sort, and now I can sort based on rating, and my highest rated images should appear first, and then it will sort accordingly. Or maybe there are hundreds of images in here, and I don't want to see them all. I want to see only the images I've rated. Well, at the top of your screen, there's another bar, and that's another bar you could show or hide. If you go to the View menu, that's called the filter bar. And here I could hide it or show it. And in the filter bar, there's a choice called Attribute. If I choose Attribute here, I can say only show me images that are rated 1 star or above, or 2 stars, or 3 and above. If you want to turn off that, just click on whatever is currently chosen. So right now, if I'm filtering down to 5-star images or higher, just click the 5th star. You'll turn it off. We also have our little flag status here, either the picks or the ones that were rejects. And so I could view only the picks or only the rejects. And you can do the same thing for colors. If you no longer want to limit the images that you're viewing, then you can choose none. And then you're viewing every image that's there. And so the more you spend time in Lightroom organizing your images, the faster you'll be able to locate things and the less you're going to rely on your brain to remember things, because Lightroom can remember it all.